It appears to be starting. All right, I'll make you the host and then leave.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome. We will go ahead and get started in just a quick moment. Alrighty, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Alrighty, as a quick reminder, if you have questions for me, if you need technical assistance, I will be able to assist you in the chat. And I will go ahead and let the panelists answer the Q&A if you have questions for them. And Sunita, I will go ahead and kick it off to you.
Thank you very much, Bree. Appreciate it. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties right before this, so we're going to get started right now. Can you see the slide now? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today on this Wednesday. I hope everyone is doing okay. I know the winds have been pretty crazy here for us. Hopefully they're calming down for you guys. Today is the 76th session, Wednesday session of the disaster loan updates. Today we're going to go over PPP, COVID, EIDL, and we're also going to go over the grant briefly. So let's go ahead and get this started. Thank you for joining us. It looks like people are pouring in right now. I'm sure most of you already know a lot of this information, but let me go over it really quickly. This is presented to you by the Northern California SBDC. We're supported by SBA and the state of California. We're able to provide you no fee advising for all small businesses. So please contact us so that way we can help you. We have local centers that are in your area. We are also the finance center, and we are the ones that are presenting this today. Myself, Sunita Maharaj, the director, and also Steve Roth, regional lending specialist. We can also put in the chat a way for you to get a hold of us, which is the NorCal SBDC .org. That's the way you can find your closest office. And then also you can go to loans at ASKSBDC to find your office or ask us questions as well. So let me go into a little bit of housekeeping and disclaimers. The slide deck will be shared during this webinar in the chat. Bree will put it in the chat area. The webinar is being recorded and will be available at AskSBDC.com as well. So if you want to rewatch this, there's an area that you missed, maybe you got in a couple of minutes late, please go ahead and go on to AskSBDC.com and you can rewatch it there. If you have questions, can you please put them in the Q&A rather than the chat? I know that's a little bit different, but if you've been here before, you know we go to the questions from the Q&A. Steve is awesome about answering all these questions. He answers questions faster than you can put them in there. So if you could please do that, that would be great. Please let us know before your question if it's in regards to PPP, EIDL, or if it's in regards to the grant, so that way we can answer your question correctly. If you need technical assistance, can you please put that in questions or information in the chat, and Bree will be happy to help you. I do want to let you know things are changing all the time. They're not changing as fast as they were just a week ago. Things are slowing down a little bit. We're not getting as many updates, but we do have some updates today, and I'll go over that in the beginning. This information, I put it together last night and this morning, so it is as relevant as it can possibly be unless something changes during this, this webinar, which could possibly happen because it has happened in the past. So the updates, we're going to go over the California Relief Grant briefly. I'm just going to tell you what's going on with the grant right now, round 1, round 2, those types of things. We're going to go over PPP, EIDL, SBA debt relief, Shuttered venue operations grant, which is still not opened yet, but we're going to give you some information that comes from the SBA website. Unfortunately, that's the only information we have until they release more to us. Employee retention tax credit. SBA team is here, Carrie Ellenwood and David Castaneda, and they will give us some updates. Whatever they have, they can add to during the webinar as well. Our upcoming webinars and Q&A. As everyone knows, we do Q&A throughout the whole process of the webinar. We answer it in the Q&A area. So what's new since last Wednesday? Borrowers who returned all or part of their PPP loan funds may reapply for a first draw PPP loan. That's not quite new, but it's new information that maybe I had left off previously. It is big. It's, you know, we've been getting a lot of questions in regards to this. So if you returned all or part of your PPP loan funds, you may reapply for the first draw PPP loan. I would go back to the lender that you first activated your loan with. They're going to have your information already, and I think it might be an easier process for you. To get info on lenders that are participating, please contact your local SBDC office. You can also contact us at the Finance Center at loans@ASKSBDC, and we can give you this information. There are so many of them out there that it's going to be hard to put it in a list. So if you contact us, we can give you that information. And the PPP updated 3508S form for forgiveness of 150 and less is out. That was out last week or 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to put it here as well because we do have a lot of questions on when this is going to be released or if it's been released. If you get this deck, you can go ahead and click on that button and it takes you straight to the document itself. So the California Relief Grant, what's going on with that? Round 1 is now closed. So round 1 and selections have been made. So you should have been selected. They should have sent out notifications from the 11th through the end of this month. Some people have already gotten notification that they've either been approved for the grant, awaiting some more information, possibly bank information, other documents. You've been waitlisted, and the notices started going out on the 22nd. They're going to continue to go out until the 31st. The dates have changed a little bit on that, and the reasoning is because some people applied multiple times. I believe there was something on the internet somewhere, I don't recall where, that stated if you applied 25 to 30 times, you are guaranteed to get the grant, which is not true. What ended up happening is it just slowed down the process. And unfortunately, it's slowing down the process for many because now they're going through each of those applications to make sure it is the same person, and they have to contact them and they have to delete the ones that do not apply. So that is why it's taking a little bit more time. They stated that they should have this all completed by the 24th, but there were over 300,000 people applications that came in, and about 25%, I believe, of those are still waiting some notification. So I'm saying until the 31st. So just please be patient with this. We are going to start up our daily webinars, and I believe that's going to start on the 1st on questions and how to navigate through this application process. It is a little bit confusing. But you can find out during those webinars exactly how to do that. Bree is also going to put that in the chat as a link, so that way you can sign up for that. So round 1 is closed, but round 2 is open. It will be opening on the 2nd. So February 2nd at 2021 at 8 a.m. I can tell you, I bet you at 8 a.m. that they are going to be inundated with people feverishly applying for this loan. If you want to be one of them at that time, you can be, but I believe the system is going to be overloaded like it has been in the past. And then you will just unfortunately be ending up where the system is just going around and around and around, and it's not able to save your information. It is not a first come, first serve. So you do not have to be the first person at 8 a.m. to start applying. It is not first come, first serve. So please, if you'd like to wait a little bit, maybe until the next day, To apply, you may have an easier process of doing that because there might not be as many people trying to apply for round 2. Round 2 does close on February 8th, 6 p.m. As far as I know, as of right now, they're not going to extend that because they have to have all the funds released by March, the end of March. So that's all the information I have at this point for PPP. I'm sorry, for the California Relief Grant. If you have additional questions, we might be able to answer them. If not, please go to loans@ASKSBDC.com and you'll get more information there. So let's go to the PPP versus EIDL. So what is the difference between the two? And I know we've gone through this before, and most of the information that we have here is the same. So I do want to let you know that this up front. So in case you need to jump off, or if you just want to have the deck, Bree's going to put it on here. But I'm going to go over this because we do have new people joining us, and this information is a lot. So I want to make sure that I do it justice and provide this information on a weekly basis to everyone again. So PPP, the PPP is forgivable. It is a 1% fixed interest rate if it ends up being a loan. It can be a 2 to 5 year term. 2 years for the ones that started applying early on for PPP first draw. Now for the second draw, it would be a 5-year term. And for those that applied after June 30th. You can use the funds for payroll costs, mortgage interest, rent, and utility expenses. You can apply through SBA approved lenders. So if you need a list of those lenders, you can go ahead and reach out to us and we can provide that to you, or you can reach out to your local office, SBDC office as well. Collateral is not required for the PPP. So the EIDL is unfortunately not forgivable. It is a loan and it is for 30 years at an interest rate of 3.5% for profit businesses. For nonprofits, it's 2.5%. The use of funds, some of the funds you can use it for is working capital, inventory, fixed debt payments, and other normal business expenses. So if you have your PPP and you also get an EIDL, you just can't use the funds for the same reasons at the same time. If you go through your PPP money, then you can start using your EIDL money for payroll costs. So just don't use it at the same time for the same things. You can apply directly through SBA at their website, sba.gov. Collateral for loans of $25,000 or more, and there will be a personal guarantee from each business owner that has 20% or more interest in the business. Eligibility rules for PPP2. You can apply for the second draw already. That started as of January 13th. You can apply through March 31st, 2021. Make sure to include your application number from the first draw. That is something that keeps coming up as well in all the readings that I've read in the last couple weeks. I guess that is a big thing. If you don't know what that is, please check into your documents to make sure that you have your first draw application number. Reach out to your lender for that information. You should have this though, because these are one of the documents that you should be keeping. Your maximum loan amount now for the second draw is $2 million max loan amount. You cannot have more than 300 employees, which is a change from the first draw. You have to have a 25% reduction in gross receipts between comparable quarters in 2019 and 2020. So you should have your profit and loss statements completed for 2020. So that way you're able to look at the two and see what the differences are. Or you should look through your bank statements. You know, there has to be some way that you're going to be able to document the 25% or more reduction in gross receipts. Previously, you've received a first draw PPP loan and will or has used the full amount only for authorized uses. So please look at that, authorized uses, and we'll go over that again a little bit later on the slides. You must have been in business as of February 15th, 2020. If you need a copy of the second draw application, it is here as well on this slide. All lenders can participate starting last week. So you can go to any of the lenders, probably the same lender that you went to last time if you want to for the second draw. Nonprofits who can apply is the 501c3, 19, and 6. The forgiveness terms of the PPP, the loan proceeds are spent on payroll costs and other eligible expenses. And we're going to go into that a little bit more in the next couple of slides as well. So at least 60% has to be spent on payroll, which is the same as previously. So 60% or more has to be spent on payroll if you want to get full forgiveness, 60% or more. Employee compensation levels are maintained in the same manner as required for the first draw. So we're going to go back to those rules. For loans under 150,000, there will be a simple one-page forgiveness form. And the form is very easy to read. I'll include that form in our next slides next week. So that way you can see it. It is very easy. I've read through it today and a couple of days ago. It's very easy to go through. So the split your minimum amounts of spending, 60% minimum spent on payroll and 40% spent on other. And we'll go over what the other is. Forgiveness terms. Businesses must commit to maintaining an average monthly number of full-time employees, so FTE. You'll see that on the application for forgiveness. You'll also see that on your current application for the second draw or the first draw. Employees equal or above the average number of FTE employees during the previous one-year period. The amount that can be forgiven will be reduced in proportion to any reduction in the number of employees retained, if any wages were reduced by more than 25%. The safe harbor rules that we've talked about in the past, they are still in effect though. So if you were shut down due to state mandates, county mandates, city mandates, you weren't able to bring back all of your employees because they had to take care of a sick child, they had to take care of a child, they weren't able to come back to full capacity, they weren't able to come back at all. And you document that you have offered them their job back. You have documentation. You have documentation saying that they will not come back. You have documentation showing that you put Indeed that you're trying to hire that position and you just are not able to. And we do understand because when people were getting EDD benefits, they were getting more in EDD benefits than they did on as being an employee, which if you did offer their job back, they should have come back, and there is some repercussions for them going forward. How to calculate your loan. Borrowers can calculate their aggregate payroll costs using the data either from the previous 12 months or from 2019. For seasonal businesses, you may use an average monthly payroll between February 12th or March 1st, 2019 and June 30th, 2019. An applicant that was not in business from February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019 may use the average monthly payroll costs starting January 1st, 2020 through February 29th, 2020. And here are some links on how to calculate your first round PPP loan and how to calculate the revenue reduction and maximum loan amount draw for the second PPP draw. So your PP2 draw limitations, the maximum second PPP loan amount is the lesser of 2.5 times the average monthly payroll costs and healthcare costs in the year prior to when the loan was received or within the calendar year. And then 3.5 for those that are under the code 72. And some of those, for example, are hotels, casinos, and food service businesses are some of the examples of businesses that can take the 3.5% or times the average monthly payroll costs. Healthcare costs in the year prior to. So please look at that. If you're under code 72, this also will give you a link. If you click on this, it'll take you to all of the businesses that are under code 72. You can also Google it and it should come up as well. Again, the maximum loan amount is $2 million. Allowable use again of proceeds. We're going to go over what was allowed in PPP 1 and now what PPP 2 is going to allow you to use the funds for. And you can use that for 1 if you haven't spent it all down, and you can use this for 2. So payroll costs, 60% at minimum, payment of interest and mortgage obligation, rent, utilities, additional uses on the next page. So we'll go over that in the next page. So what can you use it for? Payroll, salary, wage, commission, similar compensation, payment of cash, tips, or equivalent. So if you paid somebody cash, you just need to have the invoice on that to show that. Vacation, parental, family, medical, and sick leave, dismissal or separation. If you had to let somebody go during this time because for one reason or another, they just weren't a fit for the business, you don't have to keep them because of COVID. But you do have to show that you are trying to replace that person with an ad or something. Group health benefits, including employer insurance premiums, only the employer premiums, retirement benefits, state and local tax for payroll, only state and local tax, not federal tax. And here are the additional uses of the PPP money. Covered operations expenditures, payment for any software, cloud computing, and other human resources and accounting needs. So if you had to get these services to be able to keep open and then also do to verify information for the PPP, how many employees you had, what you ended up spending on PPP money, how to get this information, you're able to use that money for this. Covered property damage costs related to due to public disturbances that occurred during 2020, and it was not covered by your insurance. So the portion that was not covered by insurance, you can use this money. You can't use it for both though. If you were covered, unfortunately, you can't use that money for that as well. Covered supplier costs, so expenditures to supplier pursuant to a contract, purchase order, or order for goods in effect prior to taking the loan that are essential to the recipient's operations. Covered worker protection expenditure, so for PPEs. So you can use the funds from the PPP to buy PPEs. I know it gets a little confusing, but you have this slide here, you can review it again. So the PPEs, you can use your PPP money for. Previous PPP loans can also claim these costs as covered expenses. So if you still have some PPP money, then from the first draw, you can use those funds in addition to this. So you can use that as well. So additional major PPP updates. Idle advance will not be reduced from the forgivable PPP amount as it did in the past. We still don't have notice on exactly how that's going to happen. If it's already been deducted from your forgiveness previously, I believe, and I think Carrie's going to go over this a little bit more from SBA, that the lender is going to then give that money back. But how that exactly is going to trigger or happen, I'm still unclear. We should get more information on this in the next coming weeks, unless Carrie has some additional information now.
Yes, thank you, Sunita. We have received and sent our lenders the notice that they will be receiving the funds from SBA and any interest that had been assigned to that borrower on that PPP loan for the idle advance. All of those funds will be returned to the lender, who then will return that to the borrower by paying off the existing balance that was left over. If they've made any payments on that loan, they will also reconcile that with the borrower. So the borrower will be made whole. I cannot tell you exactly when that process is going to start for your small businesses that have these loans with their lenders. We are currently still working on getting funds out again. So give us a little grace on that one. But yes, they will be fully made whole on anything to do with that. Thank you, Sunita.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you for that update. I appreciate that. I knew there was some, I just wasn't exactly sure how to pinpoint that. So additional major PPP updates, Clarifies covered period will be between 8 and 24 weeks. You can choose. On your application, you're going to choose 8 or 24 weeks for forgiveness. So, you know, how much were you able to spend that money? You have 8 weeks to spend it, or up into 24 weeks. If you spent it all in 10 weeks, that's okay. You can still apply for forgiveness at that time as well. Clarifies other group insurance, such as vision and dental, as you can use those funds for that, for vision and dental. Borrowers who returned all or part of their PPP loan funds may reapply for the first draw PPP loan. So I just wanted to restate that and make sure that everybody did know that. So some more information in regards to the updates, taxes and deductions. Previously, we weren't sure if you were going to be able to deduct the PPP amount, and now you will be able to. So expenses made with the forgiven PPP loan proceeds can be deducted from your taxes. The gross income a business is required to report will not include any PPP loan amount that is forgiven. Gross business income does not include forgiveness of certain loans, such as the PPP forgiven funds, idle grants, certain loan payment assistance, and grants for shuttered venues. The documents that you should definitely keep and make sure you still have it. Some of the lenders may not request it, but you are still to have it for the next few years. Please, please, please keep payroll and related costs, employee benefits, utilities, rent, and mortgage interest information. Also, please keep your application information handy. You should have a copy of your EIDL application. You should have a copy of your PPP application, or sorry, not your EIDL application, but your PPP application and the loan number that's on there. You should also have copies of your note that you signed with your lender. Please keep that, because people are now asking us if we can find that information, and it's just going to be a lot harder to find it and time related, that you want to make sure that you're able to apply for the second draw, because you're going to need that PPP1 application number. And then applications can be found at sba.gov for the PPP second round and first round. I am now going to hand this over to Steve Roth. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you everyone for waiting patiently. I don't know if you wanted to, are there any burning questions that we need to answer before we move on, Steve?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. A lot of people have asked about the California Relief Grant. So when the first round ended, you will have gotten a notification that you were either approved or put on the wait list or were denied. If you were put on the wait list, you don't have to do anything else. Your application is complete. You'll simply be reviewed in the second round. And that's partially, as Sunita said earlier, a function of how many people applied versus how many people they can fund. So if you haven't heard anything at all, you should hear something by the end of this week, as they're looking to get all of their round one notifications out by the 31st of this month, which effectively means Friday. So hopefully in the next 2 days, 3 days, everyone will have heard. If you've been funded, if you've been approved, you should be funded in about 45 days. If you've been denied, you have to go back to the California relief process to find out why. If you've been waitlisted, there's nothing to do except wait for round two, which will come up in a couple of weeks. So it's confusing, but that's their process.
Yes, and
So
please,
switching
sorry,
over
please.
to, pardon me?
I was just going to say, please do not reapply if you're on the wait list.
Yes.
Please do not do that. It's just going to hold up your file longer.
Yes, and in all likelihood, the second application will just mess up your first application because you'll have two applications in, and eventually they'll find it. So one of the elements of the new Stimulus Act is that the EIDL program, EIDL is Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, was reopened. So the way it works is a little complicated. You can apply today for an idle loan if you've never had an idle loan before. So there's only one idle loan per company, where per employer identification number or social security number if you're a sole proprietor or you file a Schedule C. You can file your application for an idle loan all the way through the end of the calendar year. And it's actually going very quickly. A year ago, when idle first opened, the delays were 6, 8, 12, 14 weeks. I've had 2 clients who were funded within days of submitting their idle application. But remember, only one idle loan per client. Idle advance also reopened. The idle advance was part of the idle loan. So a year ago, when you applied for idle, you checked a box on the application that said you wanted the emergency funding, the advance. And that funding was done on the basis of $1,000 per employee, up to 10 employees or $10,000. So if you did not get the full $10,000 from the idle advance a year ago, you can reapply for the idle advance increase only. So if you've never gotten an idle loan, you can apply for idle today, and it should go pretty quickly. If you got an idle advance, but not the maximum of $10,000 for 10 employees, you can get an additional idle advance. And as Sunita said, the idle advance is in effect a grant, since it's not going to be deducted from your PPP. The idle loan is a loan. And if you were denied your idle loan when you applied the first time, do not simply reapply. You go through the reconsideration process, which is now also working very well. You'll be asked for additional information and you'll go through a separate channel, but don't reapply for a second idle loan twice if you were denied once. Go through the reconsideration process. Next one.
Steve, excuse me.
Go ahead, yeah.
Hi, I just want to make a slight clarification about the idle advance. Those funds are not, you cannot apply for the idle advance right now. And what we are waiting for is they are going to use the process in the new legislation where SBA will be reaching out to individuals that did not receive their full idle advance last time. And then they will notify those people first. And after that, then if there are funds still available, people will be able to apply for the advance. So it's a little bit of a different process. So if you received $1,000 for an idle advance last time, the legislation now has changed that, and there's going to be a process of reaching out to those individuals that did not get the full advance. SBA will initiate that with a contact to those individuals starting here shortly. And then once all of those individuals have been contacted and received the full amount that they needed or should have received, they may be requested to provide additional information to verify they're eligible and that we have all the data that we need on them. After those people have been satisfied or until the funds run out, that's how that process is going to go. So if they go to our website right now, they cannot apply for the advance. Thank you,
Okay,
Steve.
very good. And as I think Carrie mentioned, Congress allocated $20 billion for the idle advances. And I think it's really very positive that the SBA will be going through the people it's already made loans to and filtering out to make it a lot simpler. And one more.
Okay.
Carrie's covered most of this, so next slide. So one thing about the idle advance is for if you got everyone got an advance the first time who checked the box, and even if you only got $1,000 because you're a sole proprietor with one employee, you still got $1,000. For the new idle advance program, it's going to be a function of low income community. And many people have emailed, what does that mean? And And so, it's where your business is located. So it's your physical business address that's going to dictate which census tract you're in, unless things change again. And so if you're in a community that's relatively low income, you've got a higher probability that you can get an additional EIDL advance, assuming you haven't already gotten the full $10,000 for 10 employees. If you're in a non-low income area, the chances are going to be lower. There are a lot of rules, they're all up on the slide, and I won't read them all. But the point is that it's the business location based upon your census tract. And there is a census tract finder up on the SBA's website, but in effect, it's much better that they're going to go out with this rather than we're going to go in with this, since no one knows exactly which census tract does what. But I think it's a good program. It's going to be, Carrie?
Yes, excuse me. So it's actually, it is the definition of the low income area that is provided by the IRS. And once the initial people have been addressed that I mentioned earlier, then when people go onto our website, there will be a tool there where they can put their address in and determine whether or not they are in the low income community definition. So there are a lot of definitions out there about what's a low income area, LMIs, that type of thing. So we are using the guidance provided by the IRS, and there will be a way for people to see before they try to apply if they are actually in one of those areas. Stay tuned, it'll be coming soon. This is the information that I have so far, and of course, the best place to get information on all of these programs directly from the SBA when they roll out is on the website at sba.gov. Thank you. I apologize for interrupting again, Steve.
No, that's perfectly okay. Because as you can see from the definition, it's going to be difficult, right? If you're in San Francisco, you may not know, certainly I don't know, what's 80% of income level, but the program is directed, I think, correctly, towards companies that are in more economically disadvantaged areas. And so, if you're in Ross, California, or Rockland, you're probably not going to do it. If you're in Stockton, Fresno, you probably have a better chance. Next one. Great. So a couple of things that do apply to pretty much everybody, which are really excellent part of the new program, is that there's an SBA debt relief factor. So when COVID first hit, the SBA deferred 6 months of principal and interest last year, and most banks gave an additional 6-month deferral if you asked them for it. And now all borrowers with qualifying loans that are approved by the SBA prior to the CARES Act will get an additional 3 months of deferral on principal and interest payments starting in February of this year. And that's not a forgiveness, it's simply a deferral. So, but you won't have to make payments for February, March, and April, as funds will be pushed to the back end of the loan. If you're in the smallest, hardest hit areas, you can receive an additional 5 months of deferral for a total of 8 months of deferrals. And the best thing to do here is to talk to your lender. Your lender will understand, where you are and how you qualify. And then if you take out a new SBA loan as of February 1st, you can get 6 months of deferred principal and interest payments up to a maximum of $9,000 a month. So if you're looking to grow your business, expand your business, or start your business is outside of areas most affected by COVID, the SBA lending program will give you 6 months of no payments up to $9,000 as you get started. If you have an existing loan, you should take advantage of the 3 months of deferral. and you should check with your bank about whether or not you can qualify for the additional 5 months. There's also a bankruptcy provision, which is still being developed. So if you, for some reason, you are in bankruptcy, then by definition, you'll have an attorney. Your attorney will be the one to sort of figure out whether you can still use your PPP loan while you're in bankruptcy. But remember, bankruptcy doesn't mean going out of business. Bankruptcy means you're in you filed in federal court for bankruptcy protection. So it's a little different. Feel free to email me if you have questions about that. Next
And
one.
Steve,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry for interruption. If you are looking at the new forms to apply for those PPP loans, if there is a bankruptcy in process for that business, that's a hard stop. They aren't eligible for any of the new PPP loans. Just a clarification there.
Very good.
Thank you.
That's good. And then there are certain loan enhancements that have come through. $2 billion went to enhance the SBA's existing government loan programs. And the primary ones, the 7A program and the 504 real estate-based program, as well as the micro lending program. So right now, your fees, the SBA portion of your fees and your lender fees will be waived for 7A and 504 loans. The 7A program guarantee, which is usually about 75%, has moved up to 90%. This makes the loan more desirable for the lender because they have a higher degree of partnership with the SBA. The Sba Express Loan program, which is designed for smaller companies and smaller loan amounts, had been capped at $350,000. That's now been moved up to $1 million. Again, trying to move funds out into the business world to keep companies moving forward. And the 504 Express Loan program. So the 504 program is a real estate lending program administered by a group of nonprofits called Community Development Corporations, CDCs. And these groups help work with banks on real estate loans. And they now have a lot of flexibility about moving things along faster because they have a higher degree of decision-making autonomy than they did before COVID. So if you're looking at doing a real estate deal, we're doing another real estate class on Tuesday, March the 9th. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me about them and I can help you one-on-one. It's free, remember, because it's all part of the SBA. And it also enhances different micro lending provisions. So point is that between interest deferrals, interest and principal deferrals on existing and new loans, and a more robust lending program, there are a lot more options out there for companies than there were before December 24th, 2020. Next one. Shuttered venue grants. These are also in development, so I don't want to say too much about them. But if you have you're a venue operator or promoter, you're a theatrical producer, live performing arts, this is a separate vehicle to help companies who have effectively been closed due to COVID for quite a while receive funding. If you do take a shuttered venue grant, you're not eligible for a new PPP loan. If you had an old PPP loan, that's okay, but you won't get a PPP round 2. You'll get a shuttered venue operators loan. And these, the shuttered venue program, would likely be bigger because in the first 14 days, grants will be awarded to venues who've lost 90% of revenue. The grants can be up to a significant amount of money. So, if you're in this business, stay tuned to the SBA website, be in contact with the Finance Center. And as soon as the rules are propagated, we'll work with you to figure out how to access the program. But it should be a great program for those for people in that specific business. Next one. And again, it's not going to be straightforward, so don't worry about this. When the actual rules get put out on the SBA website and we've had a chance to evaluate them, we'll work with you and help you through the program, right? Sign up for services, they're free, and we'll figure out how to do this. Next one. Good. So remember, it includes live venue operators and promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organizations and operators, museums, zoos, aquariums, motion picture theater operators, etc. So it's going to cover a broad range of businesses who've been significantly impacted by COVID. Obviously, I haven't been to a movie in a year. I went to the last movie shown in California with, what was it, Sonic. So Sonic with the grandkids, and then the world ended. Next one. Here we go. Employee retention tax credits. Employee retention tax credits are designed for people who, for whatever reason, cannot apply for a new PPP loan. These are back-end driven based upon employment and what the company has done to maintain employees. This program is really best managed through your CPA tax preparer, because to do this, you need to look deep inside your 940 and 941 forms, your payroll forms, and figure out sort of what your taxes are. So this program is going to evolve probably over the next few months. But if you can't apply for a PPP loan, you can talk to your CPA about the Employee Retention Tax Credit Program. Next one. Great. And with that, I'll go back to Sunita.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Carrie. And SBA is here. And if there is any more updates, thank you so much, Carrie, for giving us that information while we're going through the webinar already. But you or David may have some updated information that you would like to provide us now as well.
Yes, I do, Sunita. Thank you very much. And I'm giving you information that is up on the SBA website. I'm going to give you that link. And this is information of the current PPP loans that have been made already in 2021 by our lenders in support of our small business communities. So nationwide, there have been 400,580 loans made for over $35 billion. In California, we've had 31,981 loans made for over $3 billion. The average loan size is $87,000, so this is very good news. And 65% of the Paycheck Protection loans are under $50,000. In addition, just to let you know, 19% of these loans have been made to the Food and Accommodation NAICS code. So that's the largest group of segment that's been helped by these loans for the small business community. So I'm very happy to be able to give you that news. I will put the link to the information in our website in the chat for everyone. And the other thing is all of the programs that have not been fully delivered yet, where Steve and I are talking back and forth, that information I have is what we know today. So it may change before it's officially released, as Steve said, in terms of the shuttered venue information, as well as the lenders are working through the payment of these funds for loans. And I just would like to note that although the funds have been allocated, they have not started distributing those. When they start that on February 1st for the Section 112 CARES Act and the new legislation, those will go on until either the dates that were given or the funds are exhausted. I just want to make that also known, and that's all I have for today. David, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. Again, this is David Castaneda. I'm an economic development specialist with the SBA, and I just want to compliment the SBDC Finance Center and the staff there. That they're experts the SBA has hundreds and hundreds of pages of information that we have to go through. And the SBDC Finance Center consultants and staff there, they go through this. And so all this information you're seeing, even though it is a lot to consume, it's very much condensed. So they're getting the most important points in there, and it is evolving as we go. So, I really take my hat off to them. What I was going to say is they're professionals. Don't try this at home, reading all that information. It's a lot to consume. But again, whether you're a business owner listening in, a business consultant, or a lender, I just want to make sure that you are aware of not only the resources through our SBDC Finance Center and our local small business development centers within your community. I encourage you to utilize their services. There's other things, again, that can help you with, many other things. They have a lot of good webinars. So take a look at their calendar of events. And along, again, with the Small Business Development Center, we also have SCORE, which is another resource partner of ours. Again, please take a look at their calendar of events. For example, the local SCORE in Northern California, they have, for example, how to start an online presence for your business, how packaging can build your brand and reduce damage, waste, and even save money. They're working with Google. Get your local business on Google search and maps, and choose the right e-commerce technology to grow your small business. So there's a lot of good webinars out there. The other one we have our Women's Business Center. For example, in our Northern California, they have a really good webinar coming up. It's Women's Power Hour, and this is some of the things that they're going through. Connect with other awesome powerhouse women, learn and practice self-care, develop inner knowing and self-trust, get encouragement, inspiration, be brave in business and in life, learn success tools that help women lead, increase your creativity, problem-solving skills, and a lot more other things. So I will put that on the chat, the webinars and links to their calendar of events. So again, look at other resources. Make sure you share with your clients, the people you work with, the other resources that are available. If you're not aware of them, you can always go to sba.gov, look under local resources, and you can see all the different resources in your local area. And that's all I have. Thank you for that time, Sunita.
Thank you, David, so much. Thank you for the kind words as well. Sorry, we've got about 40 questions left. Before we move on to what webinars we have coming up, I kind of want to answer some of those before we move on. In regards to the wait list in round 2, there's lots of confusion in regards to that. The wait list means that you are going to go to the process for round 2. It does not mean that you were declined for the loan. It means that you're going to go to round 2, and then they will reevaluate your your grant request again at that time. And the criteria that they're looking at for loan approval, you can find that on the website. There is several different ways to be approved. Several different things that they're looking for. So please go to californiareliefgrant.com for all of that information. A person has asked me several times for that information, but you will have to go there so that way you can see it and read it. It's a lot of information, and we want to make sure that we're answering all of the PPP and EIDL questions here as well. I know that the grant is on everyone's mind right now because a lot of people still have not received information on if they're going to receive it or waitlisted. Round 2 does start on February 2nd. So they will reevaluate your application again at that time if you were waitlisted. So that is what that means. So thank you for the questions. We appreciate it. See here, we have upcoming webinars for Wednesdays throughout the month. We will be here every Wednesday in February and most likely in March as well. But right now we have it scheduled for every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12. So we'll see you here again next week. And for our region, These are some regional webinars that are coming up. Tomorrow, Kyle Roseman, who is with the Finance Center, is putting on Financing Your Business. And then also later on in the afternoon at 3:30, starting the food truck business, how the rubber meets the road. This is some great information from our restaurant group. They put on some great webinars, as does the Finance Center. Great information for you, so please attend. Cybersecurity basics on the 2nd. And then we have Mobile Food Incubator is on Tuesday and Thursday, the 2nd and the 11th. Also on the 4th and 5th, starting your business. Take the first steps on your journey. This is great information. If you have not started your business yet, you should take these courses. They are at no cost. They are free. And then on 2/11, planning your business. And then again, Steve has some webinars that are going to start back up again in March. So we'll give you that information as soon as we've got it down. Questions. If we don't get to your questions here, you can always go to ASKSBDC.com and we can try and answer your questions there. So whatever we can't answer here. We also have a lot of information with the bounce back in regards to the grant. So information that you have there. If you have not applied yet, before you apply for round 2, please go over all of the videos that they have available. This is going to be your best bet to have a smooth transition when you apply. You will have all your documents together. You will have your documents the correct way in PDF form. There's so many tips and tricks that you should know beforehand. And, you know, if you need more information or if you need a little bit more guidance, please contact us. If you are not a client yet, if you're not a business owner client with the SBDC, please sign up for free services so we can walk you through that now. And the reason is because as soon as the 2nd comes up, we're going to be inundated with people asking us for help. So this is the perfect time. It is the lull before the storm again. So please, please, please contact us so we can help you one-on-one. Now let's jump into some questions. We also, if you have, you know, if Spanish is the language that is easier for you to understand, you can email us at espanol@asksbdc.com and we can answer your questions there. So if that's much easier for you, we do also have services in Spanish, and that is through our Cal Hispanics Chamber that we also partner with. So if you need more information on that, you can always go to our calendar and that information should be there as well at norcalsbdc.com. So Steve, I don't know if you have a favorite question here that you want to answer or go over.
Well, I clicked a few and they should be at the top of the list.
Okay, perfect. So for Jennifer, this is a little bit Huber. I think Jennifer, you should really you should contact us. I know you've been on the webinars in the past. Excuse me, because I recognize your name. I recognize a lot of names, so great to see everybody back again. For us to help you in regards to that. So you're asking for a sole prop for professional services. So your sole prop and PPT2, can I use compiled invoices for the same quarter? So for you, I believe you're going to have to use your year-end information, or you can. So you'll go to the document that shows you exactly how to apply for the 2nd round for your particular business type. Your entity types, their sole prop. So it might be a little bit easier for you like it was for the first draw. And then Jennifer, you're also asking in regards to taxes and waiting 90 days for forgiveness and what to do. You know, it's up to you, Jennifer, to be able to do that. If you believe you spent the money appropriately, you know, on what was indicated on your loan documents, then you should feel secure that it's going to be forgiven. I know that Carrie stated that there are a lot of people getting forgiven on a daily basis. Isn't that correct, Carrie? I'm not sure if you have numbers on it yet.
I don't have those numbers right now, Sunita. Thank you. But yes, that is correct. They're processing those much more quickly. We put together a new platform for the lenders. So yes, those should be coming more close to the time that the application for forgiveness was submitted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Stelson, hi, good to see you again. The partnership had a partnership IRS number, which is different. You know, Stelson, can you tell us if this is PPP, EIDL, grant, what is this in regards to? So that way we can answer the question correctly, or at least try to answer the question correctly. So if you can just put into the chat really quickly, I'll see your name to tell us exactly which fund you're looking for. And then I was approved for an EIDL. There was a glitch and my bank rejected the payment. My loan has been in review for the last 8 months. SBA finally called today and needs more information submitted. Can I just cancel that application and reapply for a new EIDL? No, you cannot, unfortunately. You'll have to give them the information that they require, and you would just email them that information as soon as possible. And that, so hopefully it will get cleared up in the next couple of weeks. Sorry that it has been such an issue for you. If you need additional information, you can reach out to us at loans@ASKSBDC. But that's what you would do, is you would just upload those documents that they've requested. So that way you are able to move forward quicker. So the quicker you can give them that info, the quicker you get back into their queue.
And what do you, how would you respond to the worst headache? That's an interesting one.
That I just did.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to reapply for a new EIDL. They
Right.
can't cancel it, so they're going to have to go back into reconsideration. They've been requested to give them those documents, and I'm sure it's the 4506T and some of the 2 or 3 other documents. Just please complete those documents and provide it to the reconsideration people.
Yeah, if you did apply for EIDL, don't apply again. It's better to work through the process because it'll just look like a duplicate application because the employer identification numbers will be the same.
Thank you. And then Victoria's asking for EIDL. How about a business that did not get the advance and loan because they did not complete the SBA portal, but they do have the EIDL application number? So Victoria, are you saying that they don't have a loan and they don't have the, I don't know if those get canceled out or not if you never move forward. Carrie, do you know, would they go through reconsideration or would they apply again?
If they never took the original EIDL loan application, if they never took any of those funds, there's a, and forgive me, I don't have the exact number of days, but I believe it's 60 or 90 days. If you don't respond, then they will close the ability to exercise that application. And before they do that, typically they will send an email to the borrower that has not executed the required documents, and that loan will then be closed out. If you're within that time window, then you would respond to the original application. If you're outside of that, then you could reapply again, because if you took no funds, but that would be the only time that you would go back in and apply again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So after your application has been canceled.
Correct.
Yeah, someone asked about recording, Bree. The recording will be available where and when?
The recording will be sent out hopefully later on this afternoon, if not by tomorrow morning of this webinar.
Thank you. Can you give, Anne is asking, can you give an example of a track located in metro area? I would.
We don't have that. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, sorry, Anne. Unfortunately, we don't have that information for you yet, but as soon as SBA gets that onto their website, we will give that to you and provide that information to you. So LC is saying, upon receiving the EIDL approval, it says 12 months deferral. Is this something different for what you just disclosed? No, it just means that you don't have, your payment is not due until the 12th month. So you don't have to pay payments on that EIDL loan until the 12th month. If you wanted to start right away, you can, because it does accrue interest, but you don't have to start until the 12th month. Okay. Let me look for Stelson and see if he answered the question.
And then someone asked about, as a sole proprietor of professional services who wants to apply for PPP2, if they're going to use my year end instead of quarter, but they won't. The application for PPP2 is driven off of a quarterly decline from 2020 versus 2019 of 25% or more. And so you won't be asked for your 2020 taxes because you can't file them yet. The IRS isn't taking returns until February 12th at the earliest, because it's going to take them that long to work in all of the changes from December 24th into the tax code. So the application process is very straightforward. You'll be asked which quarter you want to use as your comparative quarter. You'll put in your numbers. If it's more than 25%, you'll meet the requirement. It's not the whole year of 2020 versus 2019, just a quarter, 2020 versus 2019. And you can file your taxes in the normal course of business.
And then also, Steve, just for clarification for the audience, those need to be actual calendar quarters. So you need to say January through March of one year compared to January or March through the other year. You can't select 3 months and call them a quarter inside the years. Thank you.
Yes, it's either January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, etc. It's a comparative quarter of 2020 versus 2019. It's not 3 random months.
Thank you. Abby is asking a question. It's a good question. PPP, my company has received and used PPP. We might merge with a similar business in the future. How will this affect our ability to be forgiven? It shouldn't affect your ability to be forgiven because it's the original business that's going to apply for forgiveness. With your PPP money, you can always add to your employee list. So if you needed to hire more people, then you could use your PPP money for that. You're not stuck to just if you had 5 full-time employees that you could only use that money on those 5. You could add to your roster of employees. Natalie, is there a period during which time we need to spend the money, the second PPP? Yes, between 8 and 24 weeks. And that is on the application. Steve, does the closed venue program include art festivals, food festivals, and the like? I believe it did, but there's going to be TCB. There's going to be more information coming out. This is just, we have limited information in regards to that grant at this point in time. So we're just giving you what's on the website right now. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will have more. So I'm very sorry that we don't have more information for you at this point. So George is saying a client did not apply for EIDL because he did not want a loan, but the advance would have been a huge help. Is there any way to apply for the advance now? Not at this point, George. They're going back, as Carrie said, and they're going to make, or Julie also stated last week, the people in those areas whole if they only received $1,000 or $2,000. If they were already received the max of the $10,000, then they would not get any more advance money. And then I believe it's going to open up to others. But at this point, there's no way to apply for the advance. Carrie, concerned that clients waiting for the SVO grant will miss out on PPP. Any idea on how long before they can apply?
It's my understanding that we will be releasing that program within the next couple of weeks. I don't have an exact date. You can see by the loan data I shared, there's still funds available in that Paycheck Protection. And at this point, I don't have an exact date for release. I would suggest just keep checking our website, because they're going to, as soon as things become available on these additional programs, we will be posting that right up there.
Thank you. Kimberly, you're
You're welcome.
asking where to get to be certified woman-owned business. You would go to the Women's Business Center and they will be able to assist you with that, and also where to get webinar information. That should all be located in the chat. I believe that David Castaneda did put that in the chat area as well, to be connected to the Women's Business Center, but they would be able to help you get certified. Barbara, Seth, rejection statement for my lender said as the SBA declined your loan application. So and that's in regard to the PPP. So they should have provided you a little bit more information on why you were declined, Barbara. So that way, in case you are able to get that overturned or not. Steve, besides no need to reapply for round 2. Yes, if you're on the wait list, please do not reapply for the grant round 2. Please just wait, because they do have your application. Martin, are PPP loan approvals coming through to any of your clients? If so, can you tell us which lenders? Thanks. They are, and I believe it's the larger banks right now. If you had a business banking manager or somebody helping you before it went live, Martin, so some of the larger banks like Wells Fargo, B of A, and also some of the smaller ones, we haven't heard yet of anything being funded. I know that there have been, Carrie has the numbers on the amount of people that have applied so far. I don't know if that means that they're funded yet. And Carrie, do you happen to have the updated numbers on that?
I'm sorry, which program was he looking for?
Sorry, on the PPP, how many lenders have submitted applications?
Well, they put the top 15 lenders on that slide deck for across the country, but I'm thinking almost, where is this? I'm looking to see if they have that out here. I didn't see that.
Let's go on to another. Miguel is saying we applied for forgiveness about 3 months ago, but we have not heard back yet. So Miguel, it's going to take your bank 60 days. They have up to 60 days to submit it to SBA, and then SBA has another 90 days to get back to them. So it's going to be a little bit. But you should be able to still, if you qualify for PPP, the second round, you should still be able to do that simultaneously, depending on your lender. Some lenders, even though they don't, it's not required by SBA to have the forgiveness, some lenders are requiring that first before they move forward with the second round.
And Sunita, to answer the prior question, there have been 3,700 banks and S&Ls, less than 10 billion, and 94 over 10 billion in asset size. So almost 3,800 banks, 614 credit unions, for a total of all the lenders that could make loans of 4,526. And that is on that link that I sent you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the link that's in the chat, you can look for that information there. Miguel? Sorry, it wasn't Miguel that asked that question. I apologize.
Also, it's almost everyone that I worked with, you know, if they qualified for PPP2, their original PPP1 lenders are now open and taking applications and beginning to process them and getting feedback. So it seems to be working just fine.
And I think that this process is going to be much faster because they know what the process is now. Before they were just learning it. So now they know. So it should take within weeks. You know, they'll submit your loan application to SBA, and then it's usually instantaneous, or it takes a day or two, just depends on their systems, if it's overloaded or not. Once they get that information, then they'll let you know if you've been approved or not, and then they start working on your loan document. So it could take up to a week or 2 or 3, just depending on how busy your institution is, your lender is. And Loon is asking, can I raise my employee salary after receiving the PPP loan that the loan amount was calculated? You can raise them, but they're maxed out at $100,000. So that you have to look at the maximums. You can't give them more than that. Let's see here. I got an idle back in March meant to cover 4 months. It's now been 11. Can I apply for another? You can go to reconsideration and ask for more funds. They are going to ask you for additional documents. And it is pdcreons@sba.gov. And Bree, if you can put that in the chat, that would be awesome. Thank you. Todd is asking, Steve, I am operating my career coaching small home-based business as a sole prop, no employees other than just myself and my wife. We don't pay ourselves. Whatever money comes in is used to pay for rent, utilities, food, etc. So the question is, what is the best option, PPP or idle? If you don't show income on line 31, then you wouldn't qualify for PPP. So, and there's no add backs that you can add back for the PPP loan. So if your line 31 is a negative amount, Todd, then you would not qualify for PPP. You may qualify for idle, but I'm not sure, possibly with the add backs, but you have to show the ability to be able to pay back that loan as well. Steve, do you have anything else to add to that? Steve?
No, I'm good.
So do you have anything else to add to Todd's question?
No.
No, okay. Is the incremental idle advance for those that took the loan only? I don't know how they're going to look at that, Janet, on those that only took the loan and didn't take the advance. Hopefully we'll get more information in the future in regards to that. But they are going to make those that only received less than the $10,000, try to make them whole up to $10,000. But the caveat is they have to be in the low income area, which we went over.
Yeah, I just bounced up one from Alexis or Alex,
Okay.
which might be interesting.
For the SBA assistance starting on February 1st, under additional debt relief assistance heading, the SBA website says additional debt relief payments for a 7A 504 microloan. It doesn't say deferrals. It says payments. Deferrals are not payments. Payments would reduce the outstanding loan. Deferrals would not. You know, Alex, oops, I'm not able to edit my previous, but I was going to end with, can you confirm, verify, thanks. So Carrie, did that get changed? Because I know at first the information was deferral. Is that now payment?
Yes, it is now payment, and it's allowed per borrower, and there's lots of different dates on that, and so it goes depending on when when your loan was made or approved and dispersed. So we're putting together more information for you on that, but it is payments on those loans.
Okay, so it's payments. Okay, so I will update that. I apologize, I hadn't updated it in regards to the deferrals rather than the payments.
And it's up to a maximum of $9,000 per month. I do know that. But
Okay.
again, as we get those clarifications on the dates and which, how they're going to mix between the different loans, we will put that up on the website as well. I don't have that out there as yet. We just got that notice, I think, on Monday to the lender. So we're working through that as well. And as soon as we have it, it'll be up on the website. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Let's see here. Randy is asking, we have a winery and have to reinvest our proceeds back into the business. As such, because we had to reinvest to make COVID required changes, does our lack of taking salaries impact eligibility? We put 0 income. Is that the correct approach? Randy, we would have to see, we would need more information from you. And then we would also need to know, are you applying for the PPP, the EIDL, which loan program you're going to use? Is it the grant? You can reach out to us so that way we can help you navigate that. We just need more information from you to be able to answer your questions correctly.
I just bounced one up to you.
Okay. Jennifer, there are no tax lawyers here today. We do have lawyers every other week. Next week, we are going to have Case Force with us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a tax attorney there. Sometimes they can answer some questions. Unfortunately, we do not have a tax attorney here today. Mary, is that the one? Chase said that the forgiveness application is being updated again to a simpler application than the 3508S. It is called the attestation form. Do you know about, I don't know about this form. Do you happen to know about another form coming through for the simplified, Carrie, other than what the 150 and under is?
No, I don't. I think they're referring to the attestation that is required for declaring that you've had fraud against you, or it's the attestation that if a borrower is receiving one of the new PPP loans and they have a part owner or full owner that is politically engaged, such as the president, vice president, senators, those types of individuals, they need to disclose that.
Yeah, there will be 2 forms. If you're less than $50,000, you'll probably be asked to complete the 3508S form, which is a simple 1-page form. If you're above that, then it's a 3508EZ. Your lender will figure out which form you should complete when you go in to file for forgiveness. They're really both very simple forms. And you do have 10 months from the end of your PPP use of funds period to file. You do not have to file for forgiveness from PPP 1 to apply for PPP 2, but since most people are going back to their original lender for the second round, the lenders are trying to get the PPP forgiveness processed. So they may ask you to do the forgiveness form just to get it out of the way before they do the second loan. And you would simply do them, essentially do one and then do the other. Makes sense. There's no logic in postponing it now since the rules are pretty well set.
Thank you, Steve. There's another Steve asking a question. I was approved for EIDL more than 6 months ago. At that time, SBDC told me I can get the $2,000 advance to employees since I got PPP. That's
true.
correct. That's back at that time, it was limited to your employees. At first, it was 10,000 for everyone. Then it changed to per employee. And then now you might be made whole up to $10,000, but that depends if you fall into the category that we went over previously in the slides. And then Steve's son, the website has a section called How Will Grant Recipients Be Determined on the homepage. Just scroll down a bit. Thank you, Nina. Anna, how to EIDL about second round? We've gone through that, Anna. If they will contact you. And then TCB, considering some of the rules change about forgiveness, et cetera, last year in general, might it be best to wait to be approved for the second draw PPP before applying for forgiveness, but still applying for forgiveness in time to apply for. So TCB, what we were waiting for all last year was the application for forgiveness for 150 and less. That was what everybody was waiting for. So I doubt that there's going to be additional changes. I'm not going to say there's not going to be, because I'm sure there might be some tweaks. But if you have a loan or if you have a PPP that's 150 or less, if you have all your documentation, there's no reason that you shouldn't apply for forgiveness now if you've gone through the monies. And I don't believe anything's going to change anytime soon. We were waiting for that 150 and under, and now we have it. And that's what we're really waiting for on PPP. Brian is saying, if we wait for the second round of the Cal grant, is it possible we will miss the window to apply for PPP round 2? You can apply for the grant and PPP. You're able to apply for both. You just can't use the funds for this exact same reasons. John is saying, for PPP 1 written on June 5th, when is the first payment due? 10 months after you have used up the monies, between the 8 and 24 weeks, depending on, it looks like you may have had 8 weeks. So you have 10 months. Looks like you're going to need to ask for forgiveness here pretty soon. Abby, if I got an idle loan back in August, which I will need to return, I can't afford the interest or pay back the loan, can I still qualify to get the California Relief Grant? You can ask for the California, you can apply, but your business has to be open. If it's not open yet, you have to certify that you will open as a business. So Abby, if you need more info, please reach out to us. To you. So I'm just going to check the time really quick here. We're at 11:59. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. There's only 4 questions left. I think we probably answered all of them already. I know a lot of people have asked us some of the same questions. So we've been able to answer over 100 questions, over 150 questions today. So we appreciate you all being here. We will see you next Wednesday, and next Wednesday we will have Case Force with us. So if you have any questions for the attorneys, please come with those, or you can also email them to loans@AskSBDC and we can get it over to them as well. We appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much, Carrie, David, Steve, and Bree for being here as well. We will see you next time. Please, everyone, take care.
Take care, everybody.